Hi all, in this video I would like to talk about loading. What is it? What types of loading exist, and in which situations each type should be used? First, I will create a new application. As usual, I will open our screen 1, and to test the default loading, a button component will be added. After clicking the button, the loading will be shown. When it is clicked, the function showLoading will be invoked. Let's define the logic of this function. The easiest way to show loading is to enable this checkbox, and the loading will be displayed while the code of the function is executed. However, keep in mind that it is empty. A piece of code will be added that creates a 2-second timeout. This can now be tested. I press the loading button and the loading appears for 2 seconds. Everything works, but the loading is too boring. A more attractive loading will be created. For this purpose, the Appery Custom Loading plugin will be imported. Testing again shows the new, more attractive loading. Please note that nothing additional was done, only the plugin was imported. Now it is useful to take a look at what happened. After importing the plugin, the Appery Custom Loading component also is imported. It contains 2 examples of how custom loading can look. The simplest method of customizing the loading is by using a GIF file. This example is included here, and a custom GIF can also be loaded and used. Another example demonstrates how custom HTML can be used. When this HTML component is selected, some predefined CSS classes can be seen. These classes are visible on the SCSS tab. The code can be reviewed there. To show this loading instead of the image, visible is changed to false in one place. It is changed to true in another place. Testing again shows the alternative loading. However, such loading may not be a good solution in some situations because it blocks the UI elements, and the user cannot interact with the interface while the loading is displayed. When the custom loading plugin was imported, a custom loading screen was also added. This screen displays 3 different loading types. The first type is a basic loading. The second type is a skeleton. The last type is a progress indicator. Testing will show how they work. The first type is the default loading previously demonstrated. The second type is more interesting. When the button is pressed and, for example, a REST service is executed, skeleton data appears first, and the actual data appears only when it has finished loading. The advantage of this method is that the UI remains interactive, so the user may cancel the action if necessary. The final loading type is a progress loading. On the Progress tab, when the Show button is pressed, the progress indicator becomes visible. The process can be canceled if desired and started again. When the progress reaches completion, the loading disappears. This logic not only allows user interaction with the UI, but also shows the progress visually. Now it is time to examine how this works. The custom loading screen uses segment components. Each segment has its value, and depending on this value, the corresponding card is shown or hidden. When the simple loading option is used, the loading function is executed. The code is straightforward. The loading is shown, then a timeout occurs, and the loading is dismissed, similar to what was done on screen 1. The next type is the skeleton loading. When the Show button is pressed, the skeleton function is executed. This function sets the skeleton value to 1, waits 3 seconds, and then sets the skeleton value to 2. The skeleton value is simply a variable. In the UI, when the skeleton value equals 1, the skeleton is shown, and when the skeleton value equals 2, the actual data is displayed. The last loading type is the progress bar. The progress function is invoked, and the progress modal is displayed. Inside the progress modal, a text component shows the current progress status. Below it, a progress bar component displays the progression, and a cancel button is available. The code reveals how this works. When the screen is shown, a loop runs, increases the progress value by 10, and waits 500 milliseconds. When the progress reaches 100, the modal is closed. When the user presses the cancel button, the modal is also closed. These examples demonstrate how easy it is to add custom loading logic to an application, and this approach can be used to make applications more attractive. That is all that is demonstrated in this video. Thanks for watching.